Hi there, welcome to the channel or welcome back. My name is Angela. I'm a home gardener growing here in my southwestern Ohio garden in the US, Zone 6. And fall has truly set in, and today I am going to be cleaning up the vegetable garden, just pulling out any of the remaining plants. We've had our first frost on October 24th, which is about typical for us. And yeah, if you'd like to hang out with me while I do some garden cleanup, let's jump in. Today I'm focused on these two beds here, which are, as you can see, right up against the house. I've already pretty much cleared out that bed in the background. It had tomatoes in it, and I've added some soil and some compost, and I may want to add more soil. I'm still debating. Depends on how much soil I have available to me. Anyway, and then the next one is this bed here, which mostly had peppers in it. I've got some perennials here, yarrow at the end. Those will stay in. Right now I've got some celery growing, which I'm going to work around. And at the far end, I do have a couple of beets that are hanging on down in here. I might see if those are going to do anything. I don't know how much they'll keep on growing. I have only grown beets a couple of times, but the celery's still lovely and keeping that. So I'm going to pull out all these peppers and leave anything that's still growing or perennials. And then I'm going to fill it in with soil and compost, kind of work around the few things I'm keeping in there. So that's on the plan for today. I am planning to get garlic in this back bed here. I already have my garlic. I ordered it from Urban Farmers. I'll put it up on the screen. And then if I'm still up for it, I'm going to head over to these beds. And I'm kind of a little bit reluctant to pull these out just yet because the flowers are still looking so lovely. And I've seen, bees on there still. So I'm not sure. Maybe the frost has run off all the bees or made them kind of go to ground or whatever they do in the cold weather. So it may be time to go ahead and just yank these out because I do want to top these beds off with soil and compost. So we'll see how far I get today. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm focusing on this bed right here. And I have a compost bin that may be off screen, but it's right over here. So I'm gonna just put this all in there. And these beets don't look like they did anything. I don't know what I did wrong with those. I have grown beets successfully in the past, but it was kind of an afterthought that I put the seeds in pretty late just to see if they would do anything. I don't think they are, so out they come. And I think I'm going to pull off any peppers that I come across. I don't know. It depends on what state they're in, since we've had a couple of freezes already, and frost at least. If they feel like they're in good shape, I'll go ahead and pull them off. Like this one, there's two on here. I think that these are poblano. Definitely gonna save those. There's a tiny little one. I'll grab that too. Just tuck those there for now. Yeah, these peppers are in pretty good shape. For some reason, I was thinking that a frost would just kill them back or, damage them at least, but yeah, maybe not. And these here are dragon toe. These are one of my favorite peppers. I always have good luck with these, and I've pulled off a bunch from these couple of plants this year already, but these are still green. They're not looking great. If you've not ever grown dragon toe, you might consider doing it. They're fun to grow, and they're hot, and they make a great hot sauce, and they turn bright red when they're mature. There's a couple here that look like they were starting to turn, but they don't feel good. They feel pretty yucky. I don't know what the right word to describe it is, but not saving them. The soil is really great in here. It's nice. And this here is a rue. It's called, yeah, it's just rue. You can use it as a flavoring. I planted this last year and it was small. It's a perennial. It came back and it's really, really large, and I'm thinking about relocating it and putting it into a decorative pot because it's a pretty plant and you can use it as a landscaping plant. A couple of these cayennes that are called Ho Chi Minh. Love these. Will always have a place in my garden for these peppers. This might be our last really decently warm day for the year. So I want to try to get as much done as I can, or at least balanced in with all the other things that need to be done around the house. This is a little piggy bank that was here on the property when we moved in. It's an actual like ceramic pig or something, so I just use it as a little decorative thing now. It's kind of cute. This is a fish pepper. I pulled a lot of peppers off this plant this year. It was successful. I'm gonna grab these last few red ones because they still feel like they're in good shape. So I did decide to pull this root out. I'm just gonna put it in this pot for now. And just because I want the space here for growing vegetables next year. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that transplanted. And I did not bring a shovel or a spade or anything out. So let's see if we can gently get it out of there. Oh, a pretty extensive root system too. Okay. This might not be a big enough pot. Let's make it work for this year. I think it can at least overwinter in here. And then in the spring, maybe I'll find a prettier pot to let it live in. And I haven't actually tried it as a seasoning, so maybe I'll cut off a few sprigs and cook up something with it. Let's get it good and watered. I'm going to take it off screen so you won't see me. I've got a little area over here where I'm overwintering some saplings and such. So we'll leave it there for the winter. And I'm going to cut out while I turn on the water. You don't want to hear that, I'm sure. So now I think everything's out that's coming out. And grab up all these tags. So I've got the yarrow, which is staying in for now. The celery, which is staying in. I'm going to grab my cart, grab some soil, drag it over here and top these off, so I'll be back. We had a load of soil and mulch and compost brought in a couple weeks back, and it's over there on the other side of the house. This is just garden soil, nothing fancy. And I think I'm just gonna dump it in right now, and then I'll go grab my long-handled rake and kind of even it out a little bit. That sounds like a plan. These beds are 3 feet by 12 feet, in case you are wondering. My husband and I built them several years back. And they are a foot tall, just as FYI. I never really fill the soil all the way up to the top because that's really a lot of soil, and it's not really, I found, necessary in most cases to have it that deep. So I'll try to go like 3/4 of the way up. And sometimes several years have passed and they get down so low I have to do a top off, which is kind of what I'm doing now. And I'm hoping I brought enough bags over. I might have to do another haul. And step back and take a look. Yeah, I think maybe a couple more bags. And then I also have brought bags of compost that I'm going to lay over the top and then rake it all in together. And adding the compost is not something that I do every year. In fact, it's pretty rare, but I felt like that it was in need of it. This has been kind of the year of refurbishing these beds and the infrastructure in the garden. But I still have some bags in my cart here of compost. So I'm gonna bring them over here before I wheel the cart back over. And my oak leaf hydrangeas are starting to turn for the fall. They're gonna be pretty. I've only had them here, maybe this is their 3rd year, something like that. I think I'm just doing 2 bags of compost for this bed. This is, and then these other 2 bags will be for the bed we're filling now. It's in no way a scientific way of doing this. I'm just, doing the best that I can to get this soil in a better condition. It's not precise with me, for sure. That's okay. I think that I buried my scissors under all this soil. Of course I did. Nope. Not in my pockets. Okay, I'm really bad about this. I lost a pair of kitchen scissors out in the garden. There they are. Earlier this year, over one of the beds that I'm landscaping. Couldn't find them, so they're buried under 4 inches of mulch somewhere. All right, I think that's good. I'm going to grab my rake. I'll be back. So we'll see what the level's looking like once I get it all kind of evened out. If I need more soil, I have a few more bags left over. Well, there's a couple more that I brought with me this time, and there's a few more over in the big, on the pallet that was dropped off. I think one thing that I kind of decided on going forward is, instead of making so many trips to Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever to get soil every year, like all throughout the year, I'm really loving having the soil delivered to me. And if you order a large enough quantity, whether it's soil or a combination of soil, mulch, compost, whatever, you can get free delivery. And the bags are actually the place where I'm getting my soil and compost from, and mulch. It's a local chain here, and the bags are cheaper too than at the big box store. So it's a win-win, and they bring it to you as long as you order enough to get the free delivery. It's way more economical, and it's kind of nice to have that. Like, we had a load brought in the spring, and then this load a couple of weeks ago, and it's really, really nice to have it here. You know, as you get time to work in your garden, you already have the supplies that you need. It feels like really decadent to do that, even though it's not a splurge. It works out to be more economical to do it that way. So I think that's going to be my method going forward, and that'll work out nice. I've got a few of these fold-up cages. They're really too short to be tomato cages, but they work great for peppers. I'll bring it in a little closer. They're just square, and they fold up nicely for storage. These came from Gardener's Supply. I think I bought 4 of them like years ago. But for now, they're going to get tucked away somewhere. in the shed probably. And now my scissors. And this compost that I got delivered along with the soil, let's see what it says. It's Golden Trophy brand. It just says all-purpose garden compost. So I'm going to mix this in with my soil for these 2 long beds right now. And oftentimes in the fall, I will, since we have a bunch of trees here and therefore tons of leaves, I will shred the leaves and use those as a mulch. But I've been reading and hearing more and more about the campaign to leave the leaves. So for the insects that need them over the winter, so I'm kind of rethinking my strategy on that. And it might come down to I'll shred enough leaves to make like a light mulch, but we have so many other areas on the property that have leaves, so I feel like at least I'm hopefully not depriving the insects too heavily if I use some of the leaves to mulch my garden beds. So it's something I'm just recently learning about, so I will keep digging into that just to figure out what the best strategy is, not just for my garden, but for nature. Oh, I didn't need these over here. I feel like I've got bags coming out of my ears and I'm losing track of what's where. And now I've lost my scissors. All right. They're here somewhere. You guys probably saw where I put them and I don't even remember. Oh, right here. Oh, they need to be on one of those springy cords that you put your keys on or something so I can just keep them attached. And so because I'm still on the fence about whether I'm going to cover these beds with leaves over the fall, I think what I may do is once I get this compost mixed in, put a layer of just shredded hardwood mulch that's coming from the pallet over there and just leave it at that. I just always had heard so many good things about using the leaves to add nutrients back to the soil. But since I'm doing compost, won't that just essentially do the same thing? So it's a big experiment. That's how I think of gardening most of the time. Just kind of like a big fun experiment. Scissors going in the cart. Note to self. Okay, I'm going to get this compost raked in. I think that this is more effort than I've done with these beds in several years. So they ought to be looking really good when the spring comes around and it's time to plant again. I got my little pepper harvest here. I don't want to cover that up. I'll just lay it here. This back bed that I'm working on now is elevated, probably just eyeballing it, maybe 6 inches higher than that bed in front. And that's primarily just the ground does slope upwards going towards the house, which makes sense. But also because I wanted it more of a terraced effect so that this back one would be up higher to grab the sun, we didn't set the feet into the earth. It's just sitting on top of the earth. Whereas that one is, there's like 4-inch feet at each corner. They're dug down in, so it's like securely planted into the earth and won't go anywhere. Very stable. Probably was overkill the way we designed the beds, but they've really held up. I mean, they don't hold up forever, but that one over there that you can't see, we just disassembled this year, and it's been in place for 11 years. Now, it did start to decay a few years back, but you know, it held up enough that we could keep planting in it without having to totally take it apart. Okay, so these are, I think that these are good now, except for adding a layer of mulch on the top. I just brought 2 bags of mulch for each of these 2 beds, and I think once I get this layered on, I'm probably going to go ahead and quit for today. So I've got some other things to do inside the house, and that'll leave me with 4 more beds to do this same thing too. And I have noticed that in our region, the leaves just weren't as pretty this year. I think my thought is that we just had such a bad drought again this year, that maybe that impacts the color. And I've heard the expression green, brown, and on the ground on years like this. The colors don't really form too well. So maybe that is what has gone on. I mean, there's been some color. It's still lovely, but not eye-popping like it is in a lot of years. And I'm guessing too, the shredded hardwood mulch will break down over the winter, at least to a certain degree, but over time, it certainly will. All right, I'm gonna put my tools away and I will be back. And having these fresh beds all ready to go kind of makes me wish spring was already here. Like now I can't wait to start planting again. I've still got 4 more beds to prepare just like this. Won't do that today, but hopefully this week I'll get those done. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Let me know how your garden's doing. What kind of things do you do to get your garden ready for winter, if anything at all? Or you like me and you only make a big effort once every few years? Let me know in the comments. I love chatting with you guys. And until next time, just keep planting.